lost 12,500 in 3 months. Insurer basically pulled the plug. Back windows smashed in about 11 o'clock at night about 6 months ago. Spoke to a few witnesses and they're just like, yeah, lucky you haven't had your car stolen. And I was like, sorry?
So my question to you is, has it been reliable?
Yeah, it actually has, like almost faultless. I don't really, I don't want to jinx it, but we haven't had any problems at all.
Wow.
And not only that, it's been better than, like, Beamers are meant to be pretty reliable, I think.
Yeah.
I think some aren't, but I always had like niggling problems with mine. I've really had nothing with this.
Really?
Like nothing. It's been great. Apple CarPlay, be a bit dodgy sometimes, but not often actually. Not enough to be a problem. And you can reset it by sort of getting in and out of the car or whatever. So,
well, it just kind of bugs out a little bit, does it?
Yeah, it does, but it's fine. Every car has something like that.
Yeah. And electrics have been fine? Windows and everything?
Yeah, everything works perfectly, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought I had a problem. I just had a low battery because I'd never used the thing.
All right.
So I took it home for Christmas, did a long drive, and it was fine again. So no, it's honestly, it has done nothing wrong.
Well, that's good to hear.
That's great.
Yeah, because I mean, they get a lot of bad press with reliability and things going wrong. So
I don't know if I've been lucky or...
I personally think there's just well, first of all, I'd say a lot of Range Rovers are, I might not make a load of friends saying this, but a lot of Range Rovers are people that buy them that can't afford them. They just use them, as a symbol, and they don't service them. When things are niggling, they don't get them fixed. So when they pass them down to someone else, Joe Bloggs, and he picks them up and he's like, oh, well, it's broken. It's because they haven't been looked after very well. And I think there's a small batch, but a small percentage in general that are just lemons that have just come out of the factory and they don't work. They're just rubbish. They keep going wrong. But I suppose that's the same for every car. So, and I hear loads of online and stories about people that have owned them for years and had Range Rovers for years. You could look
Positive stories.
That have had them for so long and no problems at all. But then you hear it's always overshadowed by all this. You accelerate and it'll break down the road 5 minutes later and all this. But it's nice to speak to someone that's had one, for a reasonable amount of time and done probably harder mileage than 5,000 miles on a motorway. So where things could have gone wrong. Yeah, so it's nice to hear that problems have been minuscule, if not.
Yeah, tiny. I mean, I don't call it I wouldn't maybe call it reliability because it's just a little bug in the CarPlay or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Might have nothing to do with Range Rover. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's done absolutely nothing wrong. So fingers crossed it stays that way.
So James has had quite a few cars before, quite a few nice cars before, and I was wondering how this compares to previous cars that you've owned.
Well, it couldn't be any more different, firstly, but in a good way. So I had some I had like a M3, M4, things like that. That's a lie. It was an M2 and an M4 CS.
Yeah.
But obviously they are completely different. You can't really compare them.
No.
But I wanted a change. I wanted something a bit bigger. I got annoyed with not being able to either carry passengers occasionally in comfort or a bit of luggage, whatever.
Yeah.
Basically I just became old. But I don't know, I mean, being serious, like, it's just nice to be able to carry stuff or carry people, share a journey with someone, or family, friends. You don't always want to be, especially with the Mercedes, in a two-seater is so limiting.
No, absolutely, and the ride is a lot worse than this, right?
Yeah, so you can't compare them, but I think this could be my favourite, honestly. It's so comfortable. I love sound, and I think the speakers are incredible.
It's very refined as well for a Range Rover, like they are.
I think so.
It's very quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. But it is quiet, but it's also, this one's quick.
Yeah.
6 to 60 or whatever it is, late 5s. It really gets on with it.
Yeah.
So it's perfect, man.
I mean, it's quiet. I don't know what mode we're in. I'm guessing just normal comfort mode.
Well, we're actually in dynamic.
Oh, really? But
but you wouldn't know, would you?
You wouldn't know, and it's quite. It's very quiet, and you don't really feel it change your gears. The gearbox is very good.
Yeah.
And but it's nice to know that if you want that acceleration, if you need to get away from something, not the police or anything, we're illegal here, but if you ever needed to get out of a sticky situation, this has it, and it sounds reasonably good as well.
It actually does. It's a little bit different to like a BMW. What was that, flat six or whatever? But yeah, it's good. It sounds good. Honestly, I can't complain at all.
It does, yeah.
I'm not going to play with the exhaust or anything like that.
No,
it's not worth it. I want it to be quiet 99% of the time, so I could really ruin it as well. And also, all of this stuff is out of warranty. You lose your warranty, which I'm paying monthly for now. So
yeah, actually, well, we touch on that. You mentioned warranty. You bought this. So how old was it when you bought it? 2 or 3 years old?
A year and a half.
That was a year and a half old.
Yeah, it wasn't very old.
I forget what plate this is.
Yeah.
So you had the Land Rover warranty, and which is 3-year warranty, and it's just expired.
It has.
And you've taken out an extra year.
An extension. Yeah.
An extension.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if it increases year on year, but the first year I thought was kind of reasonable. It's £1,000 for the year, and you can
I say that's
pay monthly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it can go so wrong that you can't think of it as expensive. You have to think of that as assuming they cover your problem.
Yeah,
like a must-have, because a few parts on this could 5-10 grand easy.
Yeah, but it's not only that; it's the bloody labour. It's because everything's so hard to get to,
and
the parts are sometimes not all that much, and it's just doing the work.
I tell you what, though, the one thing I have heard is that the dealerships around here in southwest London, because there's so many Range Rovers around here and Land Rovers, they're so busy that warranty or no warranty, they'll be like, yeah, sure, we'll fit you in 2 months' time. And if you got a major problem, that's not great. And I have actually experienced that when I thought I had a problem with the boot, but it was actually just the battery being low from my own lack of driving.
Yeah. So they have such a waiting time, do they?
And they're like, yeah, it was October, and they were like, sure, we'll see you just before Christmas. I was like, what? So I was like, no, that's ridiculous, and the problem went away. But they don't really have enough to service like the Southwest London sort of ownership numbers.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a downside, but fingers crossed hasn't been a problem yet.
So while it's big in the news, theft, have you had any problems with theft while you've had this in London, or with any of your cars?
No, honestly, I was just double checking in my head. I don't think I actually have in terms of theft. I've never actually had a steering wheel lock before this car, and a few of my friends used to tell me I was mad, and now I see why. But yeah, on these you just have to have them. But nobody, I don't think, has tried to nick this. There's telltale signs, as we said. You can cut through the boot, and you can try and force entry up here and things like that.
Right.
That hasn't happened, as far as I'm aware. I'd like to think that the big steering wheel, the disc lock, has put them off to an extent. So yeah, no theft. Had some vandalism, but honestly, I don't think that has anything to do with it being a Range Rover at all.
Right. Okay. What happened?
Back windows smashed in about 11 o'clock at night, about 6 months ago on my road.
Right. So it wasn't an attempt to steal the car. It was maybe something.
No, I didn't go through the back window. And also, because they're double glazed, you need like a special tool, and it was incredibly loud. So it was about 11 o'clock. I was actually asleep early.
Yeah.
It woke me up, even though the car was some way from actually my bedroom window, but I had the window open. It woke me up like a nightmare. Ran outside. The horn was so loud, so they made a run for it. They weren't going to hang around.
No.
Few witnesses, spoke to a few witnesses, and they're just like, yeah, lucky you haven't had your car stolen. And I was like, sorry? I was like, hang on a minute, what about the window? And they're like, yeah, Range Rover in London. Anyway, yeah, touch wood, nothing more than that has happened. Got it repaired, but it is a bit violating when something like that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't think it had anything to do with it being this car. I actually had a shoebox on my back seat.
I was going to say, did they take anything?
Well, they didn't even take the shoebox. I just had a shoebox on the back seat. They maybe thought they were a designer or something.
Right. Were they designer?
Sort of.
It was a nice pair of shoes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, my wedding shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, but they weren't like anything too special. And I think it was some kind of brand I found on Instagram. So I don't know if they got much value really, second hand or whatever. But hey, they didn't even take them, so it was a poor attempt. Honestly, I don't think it had anything to do with it being a Range Rover. So you can't even count that. No, that was just my experience of London living. Could have happened to anything. And to their credit, actually, double glazed. You can't really. I think you struggle trying to do it with your elbow or anything like real casual.
They're double glazed, are they?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Helps keep it quiet.
So with some of the drawbacks, especially with the insurance and the theft in London, and that these are a target for thieves, and all the steering wheel lock you have to put on every time you want to get in the car, you want to park up. Would you buy a Range Rover again, living in London?
You know what? Nobody lists the negatives like this normally, so you make it hard. But my honest answer is yes, because I just love it. And despite the fact it's worth about £5, and I can't insure it, it's still a great car. So I'm happy to keep it. Looks like I'll be keeping it for end of the PCP or whatever. So I'm just going to enjoy it and forget about what it's worth. I hope it doesn't get stolen. Do everything I can to make sure it can't be stolen.
Right.
That's quite nice.
I'm sorry. I'm just seeing every car, every SUV we go by has a steering wheel lock on it.
Yeah, well.
Oh my gosh.
You need one.
I don't live in London, guys, so that's why.
Nah. I don't think we can call you a sort of country bumpkin, but just some sort of halfway house hybrid thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've just got to live with it now. I love the car. Doesn't look like I can sell it, so.
It's amazing. It's amazing you say that, because most people that own Range Rovers, you just get hooked. They're just so good. Their positives are so high that the negatives, it just kind of you just forget about them.
Somebody let me out. Wow. Sorry.
And you just kind of forget about them, and it's just like, I don't care. I'm going to buy one anyway, because they're that good, regardless of the cons. I never really liked the Range Rover brand before I bought one. I thought they were just, snobby, and people bought them just to, say, "Oh, look at me, I'm in a Range Rover." Until I bought one. It was my first one was a 2011 Range Rover autobiography, and it had the 4.4 V8 diesel, and I thought the same, and then I got in it and I drove it, and I was like, I see now. I see why people like them, because man, that was a 2011 car.
Yeah. It
had TV tuners, it had heated front and rear seats, it had a heated steering wheel.
Wait, did you say it was an autobiography?
Yeah. And it had rear screens in the back,
cool.
Deployable steps, and I'm like,
yeah, that was cool.
What? And I bought it for like 11-12 grand, and I'm like,
I mean, that is cool.
That's cool. I think that's where I'm going back to the spec. Back there.
Okay.
It's a bit different now because they're new.
High spec.
Yeah. And I was thinking,
super
wow.
cheap.
I know. I was thinking, wow. I understand now. I see why they're so popular.
Yeah.
And it was the Range Rovers. They're just so nice to drive, man. And it's just like they just glide.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Well, we're in agreement, mate.
So yeah, guys, I hope this has been useful and informative about what it is like to own a Range Rover with someone that lives in London. And James is that man. And James, thank you for having me. And,
always a pleasure, man.
And yeah, and thank you for all the info you've given us. And what would you say to people that live in London and are considering a Range Rover?
If you can keep it insured and you like the car,
buy.
Yeah, buy. As long as you can insure it, obviously, which I can't guarantee, but if you can insure it, it's a great car. In terms of just keeping it in London, I mean, try and use it a little bit more than that. But
yeah, true.
Honestly, I can't think of a better 4x4. They've come way down in value now.
Yeah.
So if you can insure it, it's a great time to buy.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. It's bye from us.
Cheers.
Take care.